Well, tonight, Minority Fight proposed 24-hour economy secretariat, describing it as useless as Parliament moves forward with a bill sponsored by the government.
The 24-hour economy, one whole year down the road, they are here telling us we should create another bureaucracy, another institution. A 24-hour economy authority is totally unnecessary.
Well, we have details of the first pushback by the majority MPs who say the Secretariat is important in the government's effort to ensure a 24-hour economy.
It is a coordinating secretariat that will coordinate the activities of all the other sectors who, when they function and function properly.
We have more on this here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust into the future. With you, my name is Samuel Kojo. Brace. This is live on Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 in Kumasi and in Cape Coast on ATL 100.5. This is Top Story, and tonight the minority in Parliament are fighting government's effort to set up a 24-hour economy secretariat to coordinate the implementation of the NDC's much talked about 24-hour economy program. The bill, which was presented by the Attorney General to actualize the NDC's flagship 2024 election campaign promise. During a debate on the floor ahead of passing a bill to set up a secretariat to coordinate the policy, minority spokesperson on the economy, Kojo Nkrumah, described the proposed secretariat as a completely unnecessary bureaucracy, which will not see to the actualization of the policy.
The view, respectfully, that a 24-hour economy authority is totally unnecessary for the purposes of delivering a 24-hour economy. And we say this with great respect. We don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Mr. Speaker, 6 of the biggest cities that operate 24-hour economies, New York, Tokyo, London, Bangkok, Dubai, Berlin, none of them started off with a 24-hour economy authority. In fact, it's only London that has a commission years after the fact to attempt to support the functioning of a 24-hour economy. What this bill does, contrary to what it advertises to the youth in this country, that the government promised a 24-hour economy and they've brought the law for the 24-hour economy. What this bill actually does is that it sets up a bureaucracy, an authority with a chief executive, an internal auditor, hundreds of staff, board. They're going to ask for a budget and spend. But with the greatest of respect, this authority does not deliver a 24-hour economy in any way. And so, Mr. Speaker, if anybody is under the illusion that what the government has done is to bring a bill that will give life to the 24-hour economy, we would like to serve notice, and notice is hereby served. This bill does not deliver a 24-hour economy. It only sets up an authority, a new bureaucracy, which will not deliver a 24-hour economy.
But the majority leader, Mahama Yarga, pushed back, explaining the purpose and function of the Secretariat.
I think in the arguments of both sides of the House, we can at least agree on a number of things. The first is that our economy needs major transformation. That, I think, there is agreement. We are confronted with a crisis of unemployment, especially among our youth. That, I think, there's also some consensus. and that we must do something radical to give hope to the youth, to give hope to the population, and to enable the private sector to accomplish the hope that has been created. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy and the authority that is being established to implement it is not the vehicle that will create a 24-hour economy. It is a coordinating secretariat that will coordinate the activities of all the other sectors who, when they function and function properly, would deliver a very productive sector and will deliver employment. That is the whole idea.
So that's the majority leader there. Our parliamentary affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins with more details on this particular story. Kweku, there was further argument against the establishment of the Secretariat by former Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu Jinapor. Tell us more about that.
So, Kojo, according to Samuel Abu Jinapor, and he was actually making further arguments of what Kojo Fonkuma had just said, that this was a very unnecessary bill that is just going to create more bureaucracy. He says, the NDC has been in office for a whole year. They have actually done nothing to actualize the 24-hour economy plan that is so much so to the people of Ghana, and that they are just putting this in place to find jobs for people like Guzi Tano, who is actually in Parliament today to shepherd the passage of this bill, and so many people. But it is not one that can create any value for the economy. In his words, this is jobs for the men.
The 24-hour economy, one whole year down the road, they are here telling us we should create another bureaucracy, another institution, another authority. Ghanaians are tired of institutions and tired of bureaucracies and tired of talk. The Ghanaian youth require action. They want jobs. And so, and now, they want action and jobs now. This authority is just going to be job for the men. It's just going to be an authority where we'll have another CEO, 3 deputy CEOs, corporate affairs manager, this person, the people President Mahama has still not found jobs for, the men he hasn't found jobs for. He would then find jobs for them, buy a few land cruisers for them, give them salaries, give them allowances. This authority will not affect the suffering unemployed youth. It will not affect the unemployed youth in Bologatanga, to Keta, to Busumefreho, to across the length and breadth of our country. It will not. That's what I want to conclude by submitting. And I do so forcefully, that 11 months into the NDC administration, their flagship program of 24-hour economy, 133 formula, 3 shifts for the unemployed Ghanaian youth, 8 hourly different. The only job that is 24-hour today that has 3 people doing their job is the office of the Speaker of Parliament.
Why are you trying to speak for 24 hours?
Mr. Speaker, you should only your job, that is 133. It's the only job that is 133, the office, the job of Speaker of Parliament is the job where you have Right Honorable Abin Babin do 1 shift, and you yourself, Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable First Deputy Speaker, do the 2nd shift, and the 2nd Deputy Speaker does the 3rd shift. The only job in Ghana that is 133 is the job of the Speaker of Parliament. But no, that is not 24 hours, and that is not 8-hourly shift.
That's quite an interesting comment there by Abu Jinapor. But Kweku, we understand the Finance Committee chairperson had a response to this particular matter on behalf of the majority side. What did he say?
Well, yes, Isaac Adongo came in quite forcefully. He says the opposition to the bill or the comments that this is unnecessary is simply because the minority have not taken their time to read the bill and the memorandum that came with it. Listen to him.
Because when we say 24-hour economy, 24-hour economy is not the same as agriculture. It is not the same as industry. It is a mainstreaming activity that you find almost in every sphere of life. So you find 24-hour economy in agriculture, you find it in industry, and you find it in services. As a result of that, you need to coordinate all those activities that you need to create the enabling environment for those agencies and institutions to be able to implement 24-hour economy. And that is what we are going to do. And you are beginning to shiver because somehow you thought that 24-hour economy was going to be your Ghana Beyond Aid that never had a policy. You thought that 24-hour economy was going to be like your free senior high school that never had a policy. You are trying to think that 24-hour economy was going to operate like your one district, one factory that never had a policy. Your digitalization that never had a policy. Today, we are walking the talk. Today, we are implementing a policy backed by a coordinating mechanism that will ensure that whatever we want to do is well thought out and implemented and funded. And that is where MPP will remain in opposition for the next 30 years because of 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, it appears people did not even read the memorandum that came with the bill. If people had read the memorandum that came with the bill, they would have been clear what Cabinet and the government of Ghana wants to do with this authority. And it is not our fault that you don't read. The fact that you don't read is not our fault.
This is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and Shield Pension Trust. Let's bring in Richard Achampon. He is Vice Chairperson for the, Committee on Economy, on Trade, actually, in Parliament. He's also the MP for Bia. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Did I get your committee right?
You got it wrong.
Okay. What committee is it?
Finance Committee.
Okay, great.
Ranking member for Budget Committee.
Okay. Why do you say we need a secretariat to ensure that you implement the 24-hour economy policy?
Thank you very much for having me on your show. Let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. You see, our friends are trying to create an impression as if 24-hour economy is like a caricature or a standalone project where you can walk to it and then ask questions. The authority we are setting up is a coordinating authority. Because the 24-hour economy that we are talking about, many agencies, many institutions will implement the 24-hour economy. That's why the Secretariat speaks with the Office of the President. So we are setting up an authority to have an overview of all what the agencies are doing. Those who are ready to implement the 24-hour economy together with the private sector. So
how different will this be from the office of Mr. Gyasi Tando?
The same office, the office sits with the office of the president. It doesn't sit with any other ministry. So he reports directly to the president. Because the president wants to have an overview. It was his campaign promise. So he wants to make sure it is implemented and implemented well. So we are creating an authority so that those that we have to give incentives, they will know an office to go.
Sorry, Mr. Champon, but your background is giving me some feedback. I don't know. Okay, let's try.
Well,
I think it's better.
colleague,
Okay, I think it's better now.
In the chamber.
It's better now. It's better. Let's hear you.
Okay. So what we are saying is, if you don't have an authority and there's nobody there coordinating the activities of agencies doing the 24-hour economy program, if you want to give incentive, if you want to direct the activities, how do you do that? So within an authority, you put somebody there who will report to the president and have an overview of all what is happening. So at the end of the day, you can channel your resources and your energy through that mechanism.
I get you, but Mr. Gusitano has been working so far under the office of the president without, not as an authority, but they are delivering. So why the need to create an authority?
So that people will get to know this is the office, this is their address, this is what they are seeking to achieve. The bill will tell you their mandate, their source of funding, and so that there will be clarity. You can't use a word of mouth to implement a policy. You get it wrong.
So as it is, where Mr. Gusitando operates from the office of the president, is it the argument that people don't know where they are and what they do?
But how would you know their mandate? How would you know the parameters of which they are operating? You need to at least put in place a legislation to guide their activities. It's not like political do that to just appoint anybody without giving the person a guideline and what have you. Let's do things right.
Okay. Let me bring in the deputy ranking on the same committee as Mr. Achampon, Finance Committee, into this. But do stay with me, Mr. Achampon, I'm pleading. Let's bring in Dr. Stephen Amwa. He's deputy ranking on the Finance Committee. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us.
Your call has been put on hold.
Do I have you, Honorable Amwa?
This opportunity.
Great. Now, when it came to the 1D, 1F, the MPP had a secretariat for it, not so?
1D, 1F? I think so. But it wasn't an authority.
Is that the difference? Is that why you oppose it?
I don't think it was an authority. And I'm a little bit surprised where you're also taking it from. Because I think they want to have a new law, act, or a bill to deal with 24-hour economy. The policy framework itself has a lot of issues to deal with. And then duplication of already existing institutions that perform almost the same function. And You just mentioned rightly that we have Honorable Wisitando, who is also handling that at the office of the president or whatever it is. And now they want to have an authority. Surprisingly, it's like buying a plane without an airport. It looks like they're just rushing, putting things in place, not appraising its viability, sustainability, its effectiveness or efficiency, and whether we're going to really attain the very purpose for which we want to set this up. There are so many issues. So I think we need to deal with that first before we talk of whether one do one have an authority or not. In fact, the policy framework itself has a lot of issues to be actually reviewed.
What issues?
Hello?
What are these issues you speak about?
I think I started raising them. When you're talking about 24-hour economy, please go and check what it entails. It's economic policy framework that deals with business operations, manufacturing, public service, and co. When it comes to public service, we're already having that. Precisely when it comes to health sector, security agencies, they're already doing that. The NDC's emphasis was basically on manufacturing to make sure that we create our own business here by making sure that we expand the value chains, not dealing with raw materials and importing everything so we can create the needed jobs. They haven't done any research on that. They haven't collected any data on that. They haven't developed any value chain on that. They haven't, in fact, virtually they've done nothing about it. I'm not condemning the policy frame they want to raise. If you look at the Asian economy, you look at the European economy, the Latin American economy, go and check 24-hour economy they're talking about. One factory can even take about 1,000 to 5,000, and they run 3 shifts, 8 hours. That's what they do. I mean, they haven't put anything in place in terms of research, in terms of appraisal document to even jump us to where they want to jump us to and coming out with an authority or whatever. It's very interesting.
But they've mentioned that they've had a lot of engagement with business leaders who tell them the bottlenecks in the system that does not or do not allow them to operate a 24-hour system. And that's why they want to correct that by
So
instituting this policy.
I wish you could ask them for any policy document on that. You know, when we started teasing them in Parliament, when we started raising issues in Parliament, then they quickly brought a document. Go and read the document. It's the business as usual, making sure that we create a business environment. We've been doing this, whether NDCMP, we've been doing this for far too long. And we haven't had the needed sustainable results. And that's why we're advising them that there should be a paradigm shift. At least for the first time, they should take their time, do proper research, earmark areas they want to do that. This is partnership with those who have the financial muscle. So we start getting into the second phase of our agricultural value chain. Then we know that when we are creating businesses, we can create businesses that can deal with the unemployment situation we have in our country. The import-driven economy we're talking about, the economy that is depending on other sovereignties or whatever. This is what the 24-hour economy in terms of manufacturing should handle. But you cannot just jump into it. You need to do a lot of research. You need to develop the value chains. You need to let us understand that this is the framework and it's feasible and it's going to work and help this country. The business as usual we've been doing as a country, and I must be frank, even NPP, some of our policies almost the same thing. Preceding policies such as this, we need to conduct the needed research, develop the requisite value chain so that we don't go in and spend money anyhow and we don't get the needed results. And they are going to duplicate institutional functions and structures again, increase our expenditure to destroy our fiscal space. And we're not tired of always doing this to ourselves.
Okay. But hold on for me. Let me bring in Richard Achampo back here. Richard, don't they have a point when they say that we have the institutions already there? Just use them to implement this policy so that we don't add on to the bureaucracy that we have existing in this country.
The point is making, I don't get it, that it's not done any research, there's no data. It presented a policy document. So if there's no research done, no data, how can you develop the policy document? If you have time, get a copy of the policy document, read through, make a recommendation. As I speak, we are doing the amendments. If you have issues with the bill, come and suggest those amendments so that we'll take everything on board. So if you say there's no data, there's no research, how did we develop the policy document?
So what did the research you did reveal?
So if you get a copy of the policy document, you get to understand everything in there.
Well, not every Ghanaian who is listening to us will have advantage, and so they want to know, what did your research reveal?
It's a public document. Anybody at all can apply for it.
But you cannot tell us today? Hello, Mr. Champon. Are you there, Mr. Champon? Hello, Mr. Champon. Do I
need to run it through the policy document?
No, I'm asking. We want to educate the people so that he says there is no research. You say there is.
We can have a session at the studio so that I'll run the public through the policy document so that they get a better appreciation.
No, I just wanted to find out what was the main standard from this research that informed that this is what we have to do to solve the challenge.
And I'm saying, of mind.
Okay.
We need to get a document together. You run everybody through because it's not like somebody sat somewhere and just put everything together.
Okay.
They've done the research.
Okay.
They have the data. They developed the paper. And the paper is available right now. If you come to Parliament, you can give you a copy to go through.
Okay. What about the statement that we already have government agencies that can help implement this? Would that add on cost? Why don't we look at that? But we still want to set up a separate authority with a secretariat.
I made the point that it's a coordinating agency. So DVLA is running 24-hour service. Passport office is running 24-hour service. Other institutions are doing that. Somebody must coordinate this.
Isn't Mr. Gusitano doing that?
How can DVLA have supervisory role over passport office?
Isn't Mr. Gusitano doing that currently?
Ministries.
No, I want to find out from you. Is Gusitano doing that currently as we speak?
Under what mandate?
He's a coordinator, not so.
They themselves requested for a policy document and the bill, the minority, and he's provided it, and they are shifting goalposts. Kojo was leading the charge.
Yeah, but they didn't come for you to create.
Policy document.
Yeah, they were looking for a policy document, but they didn't say create an authority. And I'm asking, Mr. Gusitano, as we speak, is coordinating in that office that he's working from. Why they need to create an authority, employ people there when you can still use the same system to run?
We need to give him a clear mandate.
Okay.
In the law, so that he will be covered.
Okay. All right. I hear. I'm grateful to you. Let me bring in Honorable Stephen Amwa. Dr. Amwa, so that's it. They say they'll still go ahead and do it, and that there's a policy document. If you have any recommendation, come to the committee hearing and make your suggestions known. Will you take that?
Yes, but even on your platform, now I think we all want a better Ghana. It doesn't have to be NDC and PP. Now we should stop unnecessary politicking and help our country. I think one thing I would tell them to do is to go back and embark on proper preceding research. They can even do that within about 3 months to 6 months. Look, our ecosystem is not good enough. We are very weak entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I had this experience from 1D1F. Do you know that even a lot of the people that we give them money to do 1D1F, it became a big issue because they could not go and find out. This is why we are advising them. Look, we MPP, we have learned our lessons. We don't want them to fail Ghanaians again. We can't do that. So one, they should go out there. All the manufacturing sectors they think will be of importance, they will go and research. For instance, if you say, okay, anything fruit juice will not import again, we should be able to have a document on the size of land we can grow specifically each of them. If it's mango, the soil content, the acres that we need to meet aggregate national demand, who we need on the chain. If we have to send a couple of people to maybe Australia to learn a skill, we have all of them. What can we do within 2 years to meet national demand or aggregate demand so we not import? We need to do all this. So it becomes like a vehicle. This is advice I'm giving them.
Okay.
They should stop doing all these things and take our advice.
I'm grateful to you. Dr. Stephen Amwa is the Deputy Ranking on the Finance Committee. Honorable Champon Richard is the Vice Chairperson on that particular committee. This has been Top Story. Thank you. Up next is Newsnight.
Auntie T, abeg, fix me gobetete Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no?
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, with the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you the want town. That *530#, then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
In the heart of a serene, fast-growing location, something extraordinary is taking shape. The new Accra City, the modern city project, master planned to give families, investors, and everyday dreamers the lifestyle they deserve. Here, you enjoy litigation-free land, beautifully built homes, and a peaceful community designed for comfort, security, and growth. With wide roads, green spaces, and carefully positioned neighborhoods, the new Accra City brings you the future of urban living today. Whether you're looking to buy a home, secure land as an investment, Cities and Habitat is here for you. Visit our offices near Porter City, near Chopra, or call us on 05555 30300 or 0577-911101. Explore more at www.neocrowd.city. Cities and Habitat, rent to own, shaping Ghana's urban future.
From Accra to Paris and now to London, Nana Banamwa presents Women of Valor London 2026 under the theme The Pursuit of Fearlessness. Come and listen to actress and television presenter Nanama McBrown from Ghana, actress Kate Henshaw from Nigeria, Leslie Batchelor, CEO of Export Boot Camps and former Director General UK Institute of Export and International Trade from the UK, Deborah Shanley, survivor of sexual abuse from the USA, and from France, Clarisse Magnan, senior partner and managing director of McKinsey France. Join us on 7th March 2026 at the London Hilton on Park Lane. Call 0556 749872 or 0551 557700 for our travel package. Visit www.womenof.valor.co for more details. Women of Valor London 2026 is in association with ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, Goldport Jewelry, Nexus Global, Travel Wings, and Joy 99.7 FM.
I'm going on leave.
Hey, Abna, every year when you take your leave, you travel. Last 2 years, Dubai. Last year, Singapore. Hey, so this year, where are you going to?
This year, I'm going to change on channel.
But how are you able to do this, Abna? Because the last time I tried, I got scammed.
Oh, I booked my travels with Waka Now. They have well-curated holiday package for your holiday plans. This includes your visa, hotel, travel insurance, tours and flights, and everything.
That is nice. But how can I reach them?
Call 024-243-551. Follow at Waka Now Ghana. Visit wakanow.com.gh. Download our app or walk into our travel centers in Accra, Kumasi, Takrade, and Tamale. Waka Now. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to News Tonight. Tonight, Attorney General assures no backroom deals.
No docket has come here that has been compromised in any way. No deal, no plea arrangement has been entered into.
We have more from the AG Dominic Ayini, who is dismissing allegations that his office is cutting deals with persons under investigation as part of the Operation Recover or Loot initiative.
Also tonight, dramatic courtroom twist as evangelist Patricia Isiama, aka Agrada, has seen her 15-year prison sentence reduced to just 1 year. We'll hear from one of excited church pastors.
We thank God for this victory, and you know this is not a common thing. It don't barely happen. So I'm very happy. So all the church members that have been staying home and all that, they should all come to join this victory celebration.
And grave injustice tonight, Kwale Klote Municipal Assembly slams 2-month burial ban on Osu Cemetery amidst shocking revelations of grave robbing and unauthorized sale of burial plots.
All burials at Osu Cemetery are hereby put on hold in the next 2 months. This suspension applies to the general public.
We hear from some affected families as the Assembly conducts a full audit of burial permits and enhance security measures to prevent further irregularities.
Experts say renaming Kotoka International Airport could cost Ghana as much as $5 million.
I mean, conservatively, we are looking about compared to other airports that have done some rebranding, we're looking at between $2 to $5 million.
In business,
banks expect latest drop in inflation to result in further reduction in interest rates in the coming months.
In sports,
the Black Queens begin WAFCON preparations with Pink Ladies Cup in the United Arab Emirates.
And a bit later, we ask, is $5 million worth a new airport name? We'll tell you details of the processes in both local and global aviation database.
What Ghana probably will do is to notify ICAO that the name is Somo Kotoka International Airport, but then the Accra International Airport. And even if we want to change it, it will be subject to availability of the code that we want to use.
We got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma Apia.
You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. Details shortly.
Tonight, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, has put out a strong statement about the oral initiative, saying no one is cutting deals or getting special treatment. He's assuring everyone that the process is transparent and fair and no one's getting a fair pass. The NDC's General Secretary Fifi Fiavi-Kwete had raised red flags suggesting some big names might be involved in shady deals. Take a listen to the NDC's General Secretary raising these concerns on PM Express.
Actually, what I said is that some among us are trying to cut deals. Trying to cut deals.
People
so
still trying to cut deals?
I would think those were strategic interventions to let them know that we're hearing things, we are picking stuff, and therefore be on the lookout. I mean, because if you want to move it to the level of crystallizing it, then we'll be exposed. And the exposure would therefore become with punishment. So if that's what it is some of you are facing, think through about it. Don't let it become a reality. Somebody can approach you and try to cut a deal, but keep it at that level. But don't never want to go beyond that and to make it a crystallization. And that's the point we were making. And I'm happy that the whole system appreciates that. The president clearly has stated that, listen, people may dream about cutting their deals, but as far as he's concerned, that will not be allowed to happen.
That's the General Secretary of the governing National Democratic Congress, Fifi Kwete there. But the Attorney General, Dominic Ayeni, is pushing back, saying no docket has been compromised. He was briefing the Vice President during her working visit to the Ministry of Justice.
When it comes to oral, there are issues being raised about the fact that, or accusations being raised about the fact that we are cutting deals in the oral cases. Your Excellency, oral is going very, very well. The prosecutions which are being led by my deputy and the Director of Public Prosecutions are going very, very well. However, I want to put it on record, and the National Intelligence Bureau will bear me out. No docket has come here that has been compromised in any way. No deal, no plea arrangement has been entered into with anybody who has committed an offense that comes within the ambit of the oral briefs that we have received from the NIB and are prosecuting. We have 16 dockets under review, and then we will be putting those ones through the process of critical scrutiny, so that when we notice that there are loopholes in the investigations, we'll tell the investigative authorities to bring us more evidence, as we are doing now.
Dr. Ayeni also disclosed what he described as a tsunami of land compensation cases against the state, warning the claims could cost Ghana billions of cedis, a development he says is deeply concerning.
In fact, there is, for want of a better word, a tsunami of land compensation cases that are hitting the courts against the Republic, and the figures are mind-blowing. Some as much as 500 million Ghana cedis, claims being made in respect of compensation. The claimants mostly will go and duster, documents from the archives and claim that the colonial government did not pay compensation for land, and then they will take the government to court. And for some reason, they keep winning all the way, to the Supreme Court. So it is something that is very worrying, because the last time we sat down and did a calculation, on the back of the envelope, we are looking at billions of Ghana cedis in land compensation claims. So it is something that we want to bring to the attention of government. I have directed the Solicitor General to put together a brief for the President on the land compensation tsunami that we are facing.
Attorney General Dominic Ayeni there.
And thankfully, my colleague Fatal Bayaga was part of that tour with the Vice President and is joining us in studio with more. Fatal, what was the reaction of the Vice President?
Can the Vice President describe the land compensation issues, in fact, raised by the Attorney General as mind-boggling, stressing the urgent need for steps to be taken to generally address this situation?
I hear you on the land cases, and how all of a sudden we are remembering the colonial times. Maybe these are things that have been in the pipeline for a long time, and people are finally frustrated. But we need to find solutions to these, because The figures are mind-boggling. So we need to find ways of dealing with them, find different ways of compensation should that be necessary. So we rely on you to advise us on what you think is workable, what is practical, and what is enduring.
And apart from the Office of the Attorney General, the Vice President also visited the Ministries of Works and Housing, as well as the Ministry of Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions. What were the issues raised?
Yes, so Ken, the ministers Gilbert Kenneth Ajay and Rashid Pelpo raised concerns largely centered on funding constraints, calling on the Vice President to push for the allocation of adequate resources to support the implementation of their respective projects.
Sometimes people might think that the ministry, we are just here and not working. Nobody wants to sit here and not work. We all want to work. But when the funding is not there, it becomes difficult and it becomes a serious challenge. And people just say things, oh, works and housing, we are not seeing what they are doing. We are doing a lot, but we also have challenges. So when these challenges are addressed, maybe we'll be the number one.
This is a ministry which has a very poor budgetary allocation. We have so much to do, but we have so little to accomplish what we want to do. So it is key to us. For the first time, or at least, we want this ministry to function. It cannot function if we don't have the required resources.
Let's go onto the telephone lines right now and speak to anti-corruption campaigner Edem Senanu there. But before we get to Edem, though, the Vice President also had some response for this. Fatal, what did the Vice President say to this?
Ken, so you assured the ministers of government's commitment to supporting all ministries, adding that measures will be taken to address and mitigate their financial challenges.
Thank you very much, Fatal. We can now speak to Edem Senanu, who is an anti-corruption campaigner there. Mr. Senanu, grateful for your time this evening. What do you make of the defense by the Attorney General that he is not cutting any deals with regards to the oral initiative?
Well, I think that he may want to engage the General Secretary of the party, because this is the second time that the General Secretary is raising this issue. And the kind of profile he has, it is possible he has heard something or seen something. It's unlikely that the General Secretary would be repeating this after the President has said the last time that he would ask him to clarify. So it is very much possible that the General Secretary is aware of some facts, some issues, and I think an engagement is the way to go in order not to seem to discount what is being said.
And do you think this would have ever been come to light if the General Secretary hadn't been open about it, alleging that some individuals, some bigwigs within the party, were cutting deals?
No, I don't think so. Actually, it probably is a mark of the internal democracy of the NDC, and the fact that persons don't feel muzzled, they don't feel constrained, not able to speak up.
Mr. Senanu, do I still have you on the line? We appear to have lost Edem Senanu there. He's an anti-corruption campaigner. Let's try one more time if we still have him on the line.
It is also probably an indicator that his own is when he has to deal with the case. But much more in the background checks to find out what is it that the General Secretary knows. It's possible that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, because of the top-level hierarchy position he occupies, there are certain things happening he may not.
Unfortunately, we are finding it a bit difficult to keep connection with Edem Senanu there. He's an anti-corruption crusader there, giving us some updates there regarding the Attorney General disputing the fact that he is cutting deals, as was alleged by the NDC General Secretary, Fifi Kwete there. Gemma?
And let's go to the courts now. In a dramatic courtroom twist, evangelist Patricia Isiama, aka Agrada, has seen her 15-year prison sentence reduced to just 1 year. The Heavenway Champion Ministry founder was convicted of defrauding following followers with a money doubling scheme, but with a reduced sentence. Her church members are being urged to return to service this Sunday. Agrada's husband, Pastor Angel Isiama, expressed relief, saying he's the, quote, the happiest person in the world, unquote. There's been mixed reactions flooding social media over the court decision to reduce her 15-year sentence to just a year. Before we hear from her church members, take a listen to Agrada's lawyer after the court's ruling today.
Our prayer was for the conviction to be set aside, but in the wisdom of the courts, he has upheld the conviction and rather reduced the sentencing from 15 years to 1 year. I think it's a good news. And already he spent about 7 months imprisonment, so I'm sure she'll be out very soon. There are several of them that went into jail, but eventually that doesn't change the calling on them. So he's not the first person to be jailed. We have so many prominent figures in Ghana and even outside Ghana who were once at a point in their lives were jailed.
And my colleague Hannah Odame was at the church premises and filed this report.
It will be lots of excitement at the Heavyweight Champion International Ministry on Sunday, as the pastors have declared it will be an all-white apparel Sunday to give thanks to God for the reduction of sentence from 15 years to 1 year by the Amasaman High Court for their founder and leader, Evangelist Patricia Isiama. Now, when we got to the premises of the church Thursday, the place was empty except for 2 pastors and an administrative staff that we saw. And they are overly excited.
We thank God for this victory, and you know this is not a common thing. It don't barely happen. So we are grateful to the Almighty God. We are saying a big thanks to those who supported us and to the judge who sat on the issue. I'm very happy.
Now many people were saying, "Oh, I saw quite too," but I will be at home once the same. Now, yeah, sorry, Tuesdays and Sundays, or most of some or mobile into no. I saw the
Prophet Desmond is disputing claims that the church closed down when Evangelist Patricia Isiama was sent to prison. He is saying that church service has been ongoing every Tuesday and every Sunday. Attributing this to the hand of God, they are extending a hand of invitation to all church members to be here present on Sunday to give thanks to God that their prayers and fasting have been heard.
So we are praying that all the church members that have been staying home and all that, they should all come. And then Sunday is going to be a Thanksgiving service.
Reporting from the Heavyweight Champion International Ministry here in Weja, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Right, Hannah Odame just went to the church premise of Nana Agrada there. Jabba, since this release or this statement came up, we've been seeing some interesting videos from Nana Agrada. I don't know if you've seen one of them.
Yes. So Agrada today, when she was in court, did not have nose mask on. That is quite different from her court appearances over the period. But joining us now on the phone line is lawyer for Nana Agrada. Before we do that, let's speak to a law lecturer at UPSA, Justice Abdullahi. Thank you so much for joining us on News 9. Now, let me take your quick reaction to this decision by the court to slash down the number of years that was handed over to Agrada last year. Abdullahi.
So I was saying that I find it so dramatic, the huge reduction from 15 years to 1 year, and then a fine of about 2,000 cities, if my memory is correct, of the fine imposed. I'm of the opinion that, considering that in the year 2001, if our memory is correct, I think someone in June, Nana Agrada had been convicted of similar offense. And so, having vowed first to sanitize the media landscape, particularly from these money doubling and rituals and all those ancillary unhealthy works that go on in the media. And then dealing with the person of Nana Agrada who had a prior conviction, I was of the opinion that if indeed a court would find her guilty and convict her, then the sentence should be enhanced And when we say that it should be enhanced, it means that it should be more than what was imposed on her in the previous instance. So I am at a loss as to how conviction of 1 year and 2,000 cedis is an enhancement, and as to how this serves as a deterrent to her and people who are within the same space. Because part of punishment, the objective of punishment, is to serve as a deterrent and to serve as a signpost for anyone else who is in that space or thinking of entering that industry to be on the lookout that this kind of punishment awaits you. And so,
Justice,
for
we
me,
do know that the judge used his discretionary power. Are you saying then that he abused it? That's why we are seeing the number of years slashed down from 15 years to just 12 months?
not at all, because in our judicial system, particularly criminal jurisprudence, there are a lot of instances where you'd find fines being dropped from a number of years to a particular number of years. But in my entire years of legal practice, this is the highest I've seen, from 15 to 1 year. But I've never seen this before. You'd witness 30 years being dropped to 20 years, 10 years being dropped to 5 years, 50 years being dropped to 20 years. I've never come across this. I mean, it is the first time in my life. I'm not saying that by virtue of that the judge is wrong, but I'm saying that it's too dramatic.
What were you expecting?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything less than 3 years. If she was to even accept the appeal and reduce the sentence, or on the other hand, if she was completely reversing the conviction and the sentence, then it would have been okay to see that happen. But to say that the conviction was correct, but the sentence was too harsh, I think that did not take into consideration adequately the previous conviction.
Justice Abdullah Kenneth here. Today, during her appearance in court, this was the very first time that she appeared in court without anything covering her face. People have started reading meanings into it. Do they have any case?
It is just normal that everybody or anyone at all will read meanings into the body language and the demeanor today. Everything was completely different. It is as though she knew what was going to happen, but we do not have any basis to conclude that something untoward had happened. And so we can simply just accept it as what it is until maybe future information reveals something to the contrary.
You've also mentioned that in your years of experience, you've never seen such a slash from 15 years to 12 months before. Do you think this sets a very interesting precedent for cases like this in the future?
Not entirely. As I said, my difficulty is the kind of message it sends to people within the same industry. Money doubling, rituals, and so forth and so forth.
Thank you very much. Justice Abdullah is a constitutional lawyer and a lecturer at UPSC.
Right, and let's turn our attention to the Osu Cemetery, where city authorities are scrambling to restore dignity to the deceased. One of the country's historic resting places has become a business hub, and the dead are the losers. Shocking revelations have emerged about illegal activities, including the exhumation of bodies and the unauthorized sale of burial spaces to unsuspecting families. Well, this has led to the suspension of all barriers at the cemetery for 2 months by the Kole Municipal Assembly. The suspension aims to restore order, ensure accountability, and protect the dignity of the deceased. Michelle Latte has more in this report.
Behind me is the Osu Cemetery, a place meant to be the resting place of the dead, but now bears clear signs of disturbance. Scattered across parts of the cemetery are signs of collapsed slabs and broken tombstones, showing clear signs of possible interference. Earlier reports indicate that some miscreants have been involved in the illegal exhumation of bodies and the sale of burial places to unsuspecting families. In response, the Korle-Klottey Municipal Assembly has suspended all burials at the Osu Cemetery with immediate effect for a period of 2 months, with supervised burials for indigents of the area. Alfred Alute Gyasi is the municipal chief executive of the Korle-Klottey Municipal Assembly.
All burials at the Osu Cemetery are hereby put on hold. This suspension applies to the general public. However, burial for indigents will be permitted under strictly controlled procedure.
The Assembly says it has deployed security personnel to the site to enhance monitoring and arrest those involved in the illegal activities.
The Assembly will deploy additional personnel and strengthen the on-site supervision to enhance monitoring and security arrangements at the Osu Cemetery. These measures are intended to prevent further illegal access, grave desecration, and unauthorized activities within the cemetery premises.
But some residents of Osu say the Assembly should reconsider that decision or explore alternative ways of addressing the situation.
I don't think they are wrong. Only that I think we should temper justice with mercy sometimes, because people have bodies to bury. And you telling them to put them on hold would mean that they would have to reschedule, and that would come at a cost. Whatever preparations they've made could go against them. So I'm reaching out to the municipality to take a cool. They should sit back and, let's say, they should readjust things and see how best they can judge all things to make sure that everything goes as planned.
If they want to carry out investigations into the alleged illegal exhumations, we are fine. It will be very disturbing if I return to visit the tombstone of my late mother and find out she has been exhumed.
For families with their loved ones buried here, the Assembly says their directive is to restore dignity to the final place of rest. For Joy News, Michelle Latte, Osu Cemetery.
Let's go into the telephone lines right now and speak to the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. We're not talking Galamsey this evening, Kenneth Ashigwe, but grateful for your time this evening. You, a few days ago, raised concerns about this issue. Are you satisfied with the directive from the municipality?
I think that this is what we need in leadership when it comes to those who serve in public service. And I think that the MC for Korle-Klottey needs to be commended for the swift action that he's taking. And not only has he taken action, but he's also engaged the public. And actions are being taken to be able to resolve the challenge that we have in the Osu Cemetery. And I think this is very, very commendable.
Going forward, though, what pragmatic steps do you want them to take so that this does not recur?
Well, it is good that, we have a moratorium of 2 months. And hopefully, in that 2 months, and as much as indigents will be able to bury within some controlled guidelines, they would be able to ensure that they put systems in place that ensure that these issues of people exhuming bodies and selling those grave spaces to other people would stop. It would ensure that there will be some order in the cemetery. The issues of knowing where there is space at the cemetery and so who can bury where, can be dealt with, so that when anybody goes to the Secretariat office to go and make payments to be able to bury there, you are sure that the person is paying for a space that is genuine. It's not as if some grave has been desecrated and given to the person. Fortunately, there's a lot of technology available these days. So digitally map out the cemetery so that you're pretty sure of where you still have vacant land that you are able to sell You know where everybody is buried in. You get some order in the place. The issues around security around the cemetery can be looked at. There's a health and safety issue because those people who are exhuming the body, you're not too sure what kind of pathogens or what diseases are they bringing up. So all of those things will be dealt with properly, and there will be some order in the place. You know, the interesting thing is that, especially Osu Cemetery,
right,
it's a place that is rich in heritage. You know, you go in there and you look at the people who've been buried there and all of that. If it is dealt with well, it can become a place of pilgrimage for people who want to go and see some of our forebears who have really played, you know, significant roles in our history. You know, and then also for people who have buried their loved ones in there, it then can be a place that you can go, you know, on their anniversary, and you'll be able to do that within some order.
Ken, Gemma here, is the reason for the exhumation and the unauthorized sale of burial spaces there not due to the fact that they don't have spaces at the cemetery anymore, and so this shutdown for 2 months does not actually resolve the problem because there's no space at the Osu Cemetery, and the assembly should be looking at finding another place for burial?
So I guess that's a good point you make, but the point about it is that with this period where they have shut down, I won't say that I have gone to the whole of Osu Cemetery. They then would be able to tell how much space do they have, if there's any, and so how many more people would be able to be buried there. And then they can then take pragmatic decisions based on evidence that they have collected. Because you will not be able to just tell this just standing from outside. You really need to know what is there and do that very scientifically, so that then based on that, you are then able to decide how you're going to use the place going forward. How much do you have there? How long can you bury there? If you are not going to be able to do more burial, where do you go to, or which other options are available to the municipal assembly in terms of the continued use of the space?
Well, thank you very much. Kenneth Ashigbe is a convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. And that brings us to business. And George Riafe is already here with the latest. George, what's coming up in business?
Well, President John Mahama sells Ghana's economic turnaround to Zambia as he justifies push for local ownership of Ghana's natural resources and taxing more for the sector. And banks expect latest drop in inflation to result in further reduction in interest rates in the coming months. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Cintas, tanks, and Pepsodent, Herbal, and charcoal.
Welcome, contestants, to the final round. Winner takes all. For 1,000 points, all you have to do is give me the correct answer to the following riddle. I am one place, but with the right connection, I can be 1,000 other places. Some people call me magic. Some people call me a feeling. In me, you can be anything you want to be. I'm the most common and yet the rarest place in the whole world. What am I?
A church.
Oh, wrong. Contestant 3, what's your answer?
The answer is home.
Correct. Congratulations to our winner. Contestant 3.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom
Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school. A farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, President John Mahama has noted that Ghana's economic turnaround story shows that Africa has what it takes to manage its challenging situation. The president noted the situation shows that they can rely on their people to deal with some challenging situations. The President John Mahama said this when he addressed the Parliament of Zambia during his 2-day state visit to that country.
In Ghana, we've started taking action to change our narrative. Since my return to office 1 year ago, my administration has been guided by a clear, pragmatic reset agenda that is focused on economic recovery. This approach is anchored in fiscal discipline. We have chosen execution over excuses. We have reduced the size of government to 58 ministers and deputy ministers, including regional ministers. We have restructured our debt to invest in people, not just to service loans. And this is what resetting Ghana means, and it is delivering results. Honorable members, I'm pleased to note that Ghana has made tangible progress. Inflation has declined sharply from 23.4% at the end of 2024 to 3.8% in January 2020. Currency stability has been restored, with the Ghanaian currency appreciating by 32% and ranking among the 5 best performing currencies in 2025. Successfully renegotiated our debt obligations on terms that safeguard our national sovereignty and ensure sustainability. And we're steadily exiting the IMF extended credit facility.
The president also justified Ghana's quest to get more in terms of revenue from the extractive sector, as well as local ownership.
The era where we parceled out large-scale concessions to speculators who around and flip them for huge profits must end. We have the know-how, the technology and capital are available, and indigenous companies must be encouraged to participate in the extractive and mining sectors. We must support our indigenous private sector to capture the commanding heights of our economies. We're also taking steps to domesticate the value addition of our minerals.
President John Mahama addressing the Zambian parliament as part of a state visit to that country. Now, commercial banks have indicated that the latest inflation rate decline will go a long way to reduce the cost of credit further in the coming months. January inflation rate dropped to 3.8%, the lowest since the rebasing of how we calculate inflation in the country in 2021. But there are also concerns about the impact of this on interest rates going forward. Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, Junior, says the outlook for interest rates looks quite favorable.
So that cost of credit will definitely feed through the next meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. It is the inflationary pressures as assessed by the Monetary Policy Committee that will feed the new rate that we've seen, the 3.8, into the policy decisions that they make at the next meeting, which is coming in 2 months. So let's all be on the standby and keep watching and see between now and then whether we record another reduction in inflation, or even if it stays at 3.8, the kind of assessment and evaluation the Monetary Policy Committee will give to that reduction.
John Ewa is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks. The Chamber of Agribusiness is asking government to take a second look at the current excise tax on natural fruit juice. This because the 20% excise tax, according to the Chamber, threatens more than 120,000 jobs in the country and some $1 billion in export revenue. Government in 2024 rolled out the tax to check sugar consumption. Now, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Anthony Morrison, said the tax is rather hurting the economy rather than improving our situation.
Unfortunately, we are not following the rest of the global system where we are actually supporting our nutrition products. This excise duty, 40%, we call it the sugar tax. Globally, that is the technical term for it. If you look at East Africa, Nigeria, even in West Africa here, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, they have all reduced their sugar tax level so that they'll be able to buy more from farmers so that they can process. Now, the natural juice processes are different from the sweetness and also the additives, okay? So we need to get it clear. One is a nutrition-driven purpose, and one that also advances the economy because it has a long value chain, which cut across those who supply the seedlings, the farmers, and also the processors.
Anthony Morrison is the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness. State-owned enterprise CDC Ghana has posted more than 30% increase in profit for last year to 130 million Ghana cedis. Board Chairman Isaac Dampton disclosed this during the annual general meeting of the company in Tema. Kwame Yanka has the rest of the story.
For 2024, the year under review, strong urban demand for affordable housing persisted, despite high financing and construction costs, leaving governments and state-owned firms central to housing delivery in a stabilizing IMF-backed economy. Board Chair and Member of Parliament for Tema East, Isaac Ashai Odampton, speaking on performance, noted that TDC Ghana Limited returned strongly to growth, posting higher sales and profit.
Total asset grew by 19.02% from 616.48 million in 2023 to 733.76 million in 2024, while shareholders' fund increased from 12.57% from 453.49 million to 510.46 million.
Managing Director of TDC Ghana Limited, Courage Nunepeku, indicated that management's strategy focuses on innovation and scale, led by the flagship Oxygen City project. Meanwhile, Housing Minister Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, who was the guest of honor at the annual general meeting, praised TDC Ghana Limited for its role in the country's housing and urban development.
TDC's role goes beyond
real estate development to include promoting inclusive and affordable housing solutions.
Director General of the State Interests and Governance Authority, Professor Michael Pesa-White, lauded TDC for being one of the state's viable enterprises. For the year under review, TDC board recommended a dividend of 3 million Ghana cedis.
And then Kwame Yanka with that report. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. And 3 stocks saw their value go up on the Ghana Stock Exchange today. GCB was up by a peso to close at 22 Ghana cedis, 37 pesos. Guinness Ghana Breweries was also up by 49 pesos to close at 8 Ghana cedis, 39 pesos. More than 156 million shares exchange hands. And Kenneth, if you had invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange, especially in financial stocks, you've made more than 7% return on your investment. Quite good compared to other investment on the market. And Kwame, tonight, who is coming to dinner on PM Express Business Edition, we've seen the economic indicators improve significantly. Inflation, the CD. But how is that impacting on the operations of businesses? And if really this turnaround is impacting on them, why have we seen cost of goods and services go down on the market? The real impact of this turnaround on businesses, and why are we not benefiting as consumers? I'll be engaging the Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedua Boaje, at 9 p.m. on Joe News and all our social media channels.
That should be very interesting.
The economy and the private sector.
Because the inflation has been the talk of town since it was released. So
there's even a current debate about whether it's the situation on the ground or not. But inflation doesn't mean the prices are dropping. The rate of increase has slowed.
I can't afford to miss that conversation. Thank you very much, Joy, for bringing us the latest in business. It's now time for sports, and Benaya is here. Benaya, what have you got for us?
So the Black Queens of Ghana will kick off their preparations for the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations with the Pink Ladies Cup in the United Arab Emirates. The tournament will run from February 28 to March 6, 2026, providing the team with a competitive platform to fine-tune the squad and build match fitness ahead of the continental showpiece. Now, this year's Pink Ladies Cup will feature Ghana, Russia, Hong Kong, and Tanzania. Now, according to the president of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kreku, this is part of preparations to get the Black Queens ready for the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations set to be hosted in Morocco.
Taking our minds back, the FA invested a lot in preparing the Queens for the last WAFCON. We trips to Morocco, trips to Senegal, trips to Cote d'Ivoire, and then backed by the government again to Morocco for the pre-tournament campaign. And we intend to give the team same level of support. So that tells you the desire of this federation to see the female sport grow at the highest level. And I think that we would be in a position to offer them same level of support and to make sure that the girls are very ready for the tournament. The ambition of the nation is to win the trophy.
So that's Get Okreku there, and that's it for sports.
Well, thank you very much, Benaya, for bringing us the latest in sports. Let's bring you more stories this evening, because renaming Ghana's main airport, Kotoka International Airport, could come with a hefty price tag of up to $5 million, experts have warned. The proposal has sparked intense debate, with some questioning the economic sense of the move amidst pressing national needs. And the government says it plans to introduce a bill to change the name to Accra International Airport, citing the need to recognize the original landowners.
Some argue the name change is a symbolic gesture that could divert resources from more pressing issues like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Others see it as an opportunity to rebrand and boost Ghana's image. But is it worth the cost? We'll hear from experts shortly. But first, the team has been digging the figures on how much similar initiatives cost other countries, and James Aveti joins me with details. James.
Yes, Gemma, so we've been looking at this renaming at some 3 airport. First is the St. George International Airport, which has been renamed to the Norman Y. Menata St. George International Airport, and this is in the US, done in 2001, costing the U.S. government some $850,000. The second one is also in the U.S., done in 2005, the Baltimore Washington International Airport, which has been renamed into the Baltimore Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport, costing the government $4.7 million. And the final one is the McCarran International Airport, renamed into Harriet International Airport, costing the U.S. government in 2021 in Las Vegas some $7 million.
Thank you, James. And an aviation expert, Dr. Yakubu Akparibu, first explained to Joy News the processes that work around such changes in both local and global aviation databases. He spoke to me earlier on the Pulse on the Joy News channel.
What Ghana probably will do is to notify ICAO that the name is from Kotka International Airport, but then the Accra International Airport. Now, the other code, and with this ICAO code, that is normally used for operations. So communications between pilots and air traffic controllers is normally this code that we use. So the general public normally don't use this, and most people don't even know this code. Now, the second code is the IATA code, which is normally the commercial one. That Ghana can suggest to IATA for it to be changed. Now, if the airport is changed to Accra International Airport, and Ghana still want to maintain the current code, which is ACC, which stands for Accra, then there wouldn't be any issues. And even if we want to change it, it will be subject to availability of the code that we want to use, because you don't want it to conflict with other airport codes. So if the name is changed, we only need to notify ICAO and IATA. But like I said, these codes may not necessarily change.
Former Executive Director of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Francis Dadzi, reveals the process after the passage of the bill may travel for a year, costing as much as $5 million.
I mean, conservatively, we are looking about compared to other airports that have done some rebranding, we're looking at between $2 to $5 million to be able to effectively do this. But we also have to bear in mind that it might not be a full-scale rebranding, but a name change. And therefore, we can do it in phases and then ensure that at least the cost is manageable. Because the whole quantum of rebranding goes further than just a name change. So we should look at that. And before you do any rebranding, you should have done some level of research processes to ensure that why do we want to rebrand. But here is the case that I think is a political decision that is being made, and I'm sure a lot of stakeholder engagement have not even been done. And so looking at the issues coming up, there means that whilst Parliament passing the bill is the beginning, but there are other stages that has to go on, and it could take place between 6 to 1 year or even before the whole process is done. Because in the aviation industry, there are other regulatory authorities like the ACRA and ITA records, airline systems, ticketing platform, and all that has to be changed. And global maps and changes that are already embedded with AIA, which have to be changed to AIA. So it will take some process of time. It will not just be a walk in the park just immediately.
Let's take you to faraway Zambia, where President John Mahama is spearheading advocacy for the repatriation and reinvestment of a portion of Africa's vast foreign reserves into African financial institutions. He argues that due to colonial-era arrangements, much of the continent's reserves are held in Western financial institutions where, in many cases, they earn little or no interest.
Addressing Zambia's parliament earlier today, the president said repatriating just 30% of Africa's foreign reserves and investing them in Africa's own financial institutions would create an immense pool of capital capable of driving rapid infrastructure expansion and accelerating economic growth.
As the African Union champion of African financial institutions, I'm leading advocacy for the repatriation and investment of part of Africa's huge foreign reserves in African financial institutions. Most of our foreign reserves are by colonial constructs held in Western financial institutions, and in most cases generate no interest. If 30% of all the foreign reserves of African countries were repatriated and invested in our own African financial institutions, such as the African Development Bank, it will create an immense pool of wealth that could drive rapid infrastructural and economic growth. Madam Speaker, no African country can survive in isolation. We must build regional prosperity platforms, shared manufacturing zones, integrated energy grids, and digital infrastructure. We must negotiate with one voice on minerals, trade, and climate finance. We must be united in our strategy, just not as a slogan.
Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba is joining us in faraway Lusaka, Zambia. Maxwell, what was the mood in Zambia's parliament when President Mahama addressed the House?
Well, Kenneth, the mood was similar to what we are used to in Ghana. The usual screams and shouts of approval whenever MPs had something they liked. We saw that at the National Assembly today. Now, even before his main address, President Mahama in his opening remarks said that he had once been a member of parliament before his ascension to the presidency. He was therefore accustomed, to heckling. Now, in the gallery where the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the Minister of Education, Aruna Idrisu, the Minister for Gender, Dr. Namu Molati, the Minister for Communications, Sam George, Felix Ofusukwachi, Government Spokesperson, Joyce Bar Muktari, among others, were in the gallery. Earlier, they were part of the bilateral talks that culminated in the signing of 10 memoranda of understandings and agreements. Now, throughout the speech, MPs repeatedly applauded and made sounds of approval whenever President Mahama said something they agreed with. Ken.
Right, and Maxwell, the president also said Africa must exercise greater sovereignty over its natural resources if it is to create prosperity for its people. What did he say?
He said African countries like Ghana and Zambia are a source of critical minerals like gold, bauxite, and manganese, yet they do little to add value to their resources, and said it's about time they did that.
Right, Honorable Speaker. To achieve economic transformation, Africa must not be ashamed to leverage its comparative advantage in its natural resource endowment. Africa must exercise greater sovereignty over its natural resources if it is to create prosperity for its people. The era where we parceled out large-scale concessions to speculators who then turned around and flipped them for huge profits must end. We have the know-how, the technology and capital are available, and indigenous companies must be encouraged to participate in the extractive and mining sectors.
Maxwell, there's also talk about what the president wore on his first day in Zambia. Some Zambians are mocking our president about this traditional small kata that he wore when he arrived in the country. Tell us more.
Well, Gemma, it appears that the banter or maybe cultural sparring, whatever you want to call it, exists only online. Since our arrival here, relations on the ground have been very cordial and warm. People have been genuinely friendly. Personally, it was a colleague who brought the matter to my attention this morning and asked what the situation was on the ground. I told him I had not heard about it at all, and indeed, I hadn't heard it even once. Now, at the airport during the arrival of President Mahama, there was a resplendent display of culture and not even a whisper about the smoke President Mahama wore. Zambia itself prides itself in its traditions, so some Zambians I've been interacting with are wondering why some Zambians online would go off on that tangent. I asked two of them about it, and they said they believe it's simply people taking cues from the Nigeria-Namibia online banter, mostly to create some fun and entertain themselves. Now, one Zambian...
Thank you so much, Maxwell Agbagba reporting from Zambia.
And that's it for Newsnight. But before we go, here a few of the messages you've been sending us to our WhatsApp Console. This is Angelo. He says things are moving smoothly for the government, but oral may be the problem if the Attorney General fails to change his style. Francis from Accra says, to Kojo Nkrumah and Co, can we say the inflation rate then under MPP could have been higher as they were also cooking figures? Nana Ekriamwa Boatin from Ablekuma Central says, why wouldn't the General Secretary of the NDC accuse the Attorney General of cutting deals with some officials of the erstwhile government when the AG appears more interested in media sensationalism and prosecuting defective cases in the media rather than in the appropriate fora? Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp console. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
And mine is Gemma Apia.
Have a good evening.